And we're not so live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 290 of Fans of Power. I'm Joe Amato. I'm here with one of my partners in crime, Nasty Nate Nathan Kennedy. So, yeah, it's going to be a different episode. This one, well, as you can see, we're not live, but you guys will still
Yeah.
be able to. Well, we'll do something with the chat where you guys can still talk, and maybe we'll watch it when it premieres, and
Yeah.
still interact with everybody. But yeah, this episode it's going to be a different one. Won't be that long, but it'll be just giving honest opinions, and it's going to be talking about the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon, which is for kids.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Uh, it's funny because we are recording this before we're actually doing 289 later
yeah,
tonight. So, even Rebecca was like, "Do I need to watch this?" And we can do that. And I'm like, "No, we're not going to torture you with that if you don't want to watch it." So Joe and I are always the ones that will take the bullet for this show to watch this, read those god awful prequel comics, which we still haven't even talked about issues 2 and 3 of that. But I that idea that you had, I think we'll stick to that, and maybe we'll make that a
yeah,
thing and just
yeah. We
upload
have
it.
an
It'd be kind
idea
of
of an,
funny.
an episode for that, but yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, well, like I said, I mean, we can just jump right into this. I mean, first, let's say that yes, this is for the kids. This
Yes.
is for the kids. So if they enjoy this, that's great. Hopefully, they will enjoy it. You never know because kids all have different tastes. But it's something I wanted to address is when there's people that don't like it, or let's say even do like it, but it usually comes for, like, let's say there's an adult that doesn't like it. You will have another adult say, well, this isn't for you, it's for the kids. And I loved it. Like, what did you just say? It's like, do they realize that they just basically contradicted themselves? They're
Mm-hmm.
being a hypocrite. It made no sense. It's like, okay, you just said it's not for you, it's for the kids, but I loved it. Well, you shouldn't like it either. I mean, excuse me, not shouldn't like it either. It's like your comment is invalid because as an
Yeah.
adult, if I didn't like it and it wasn't for me, and if you like it, it ain't for you either. It doesn't matter. It's like what the kids want. So, as adults, if we like it or dislike it, who cares? Because we're
Right.
going to tune in. I mean, you obviously know fans of He-Man that grew up with this are going to watch this cartoon and they're going to give their opinions. So no longer can we hear an adult who watched it and liked it tell another adult it's not for you, it's for kids, because
I
they're
mean,
giving
it just it completely throw. You're right. It completely throws that out the window. Why? It's just their own way of trying to justify to themselves that, hey, why aren't you liking this? And I mean, we're not really here for this. We're just gonna give our thoughts
yeah,
on the
just giving a
show,
thought. Yeah, exactly, giving
and
thoughts on
the same rule applies. If you guys enjoyed it,
it. Yep.
that's amazing. We're happy for you. If you didn't like it, that's cool and understandably so.
Just
I'm
don't
sure.
attack each other. We always say
Yeah,
don't attack each other.
especially over this. Revelation could be one thing,
Now
sure,
that's
but
different.
this,
But
uh,
this is for the kids, and I could see
yeah,
like a lot of the gimmicks that they were going for the kids. Like, for example,
yes,
obviously this is a young cast. These ain't adults. It's a very young cast of everybody, including Man at Arms. It's like they
hmm
kind of took away the parental figures, which we'll get into that later too. Wondering like what happened to Queen Marlena, which I've heard nobody actually
yeah.
bring up.
She's in the painting, Joe. She's
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like she's in the
painting.
painting looking very upset too. It's like, man, she looks like she's scowling or something. It's like, God, does she not
Yeah,
want to be in this marriage? But so yeah, no parental figures in this. There's a lot of which they've done before. They reuse sound effects from other cartoons, which has been done to death. But one of the most obvious ones that caught my head is like, I just kept hearing the Jetsons car fly every
yes.
time Orko flew. I was like, it's the Jetsons. You said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
too.
Every time I even because Emily sat beside me and watched a few episodes. This took me 3 days to get through because I was working, so I would come home and watch a couple. I watched the first three when it premiered at like 3 a.m. and then it was kind of struggle bussing the next couple days to get through it because I would be tired and I would like sit there and I would fall asleep. That's not a detriment of saying like, oh, it was boring, because I think if there's one thing you can say about this in terms of like the action beats that they kept up with, is that it wasn't boring.
I'll
But
agree.
one thing that that they really got the mileage out of those transformation sequences.
There,
Every time it happened, I'm like, it really reminded me of playing a Final Fantasy game.
that's what I said. Remember, I was saying to you and everybody, I was like, they definitely targeted people that like video games because I
Yeah.
felt like Cloud was ready to do an Omni Slash. Every time He-Man said, lightning strike, zoom, zoom,
Yeah.
zoom. And then when,
Yep.
like, Teela would summon the power of her, like, Guardian Force with being the Sorcerer, so it's like a GF in Final Fantasy. So
Yeah.
you definitely got a video game vibe. So that's what I meant. Kids who are into video
Knights
games.
of the Round every time.
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
That's
yeah,
what it
Knights of
felt
the
like.
Round. I love that
That's
because
what
I
it
love
felt
me
like.
some Final Fantasy. But when
Yeah.
I watched that, I was like, I get what's going on here. This would suck in the kids because we must have seen He-Man's lightning strike 6 times throughout all 10 episodes. Like, they definitely got use out of it, and it's the same animation. So for those who like shitting on Filmation for same animation, well, they did it here too. But
Right.
it's like, I can give it to the show, like you said, because it is for kids, but I'll give it to them because there was action in every episode. It wasn't like you were just being dragged on like some of those other cartoons or comics, like, oh, just get to some action. They were doing it. So if they're trying to get the attention of kids, I give them credit. They would do that. So if kids are to latch on, we'll see. We just don't know. But you definitely got that vibe. So at least, yeah, you noticed, and like I mentioned it too, I was like, you got Final Fantasy vibes, video game vibes. But now we'll just like get into some dissecting of other stuff when it comes to Masters of the Universe, source material, or other stuff. Because some people said, I absolutely loved it. They followed all the source material to the T. I was like, did they? I was like, if you were to do the
No.
squint test, if you were to put all those characters in a lineup and just not knowing who's who, say, all right, who are these characters? You'd be like, what the fuck's going on here? Especially if you didn't know it was a new He-Man cartoon. You said, who are
Yes.
these? You'd think you were watching just a new CG cartoon, or it'd be CG from a video game. The only characters you might say, hey, that kind of looks like Battle Cat. That kind of looks like Skeletor. And is that kind of an Orko? But even He-Man, when he's in big up form, he looks like a generic big muscle-bound, over-muscle-bound, just guy. It's like, I don't get a He-Man vibe. You do not, that doesn't look like Teela. It doesn't look like Man-at-Arms. The Sorceress doesn't look like Sorceress. Neither does King Randor. It doesn't look like the World of Eternia, because some people were even happy, like, hey, it's still on Eternia. I was like, yeah, by name. It doesn't by look. I don't get the feel. So I don't know if you've seen it. A lot of people were like, man, they're following the source material. Like, I was like, not even close.
I mean that's automatically blown out of the water, and I know some people will be like, Nathan, what are you saying? Some of the diehard fans of our show, which I do appreciate you. I also appreciate the fact, good or bad, that they at least took something and went in a different direction. If they just went through and rehashed everything, I would have been. But the stuff that they did, I'm like, wow, all right. I don't particularly like what you did, but at least you're taking it in a different direction, and we can break that down right now.
Oh, yeah.
With the Tiger Tribe. So it turns out that Cringer is part of a tiger tribe that have essentially raised Adam and Crass, Ram Mam,
Yep.
since they were younger. And it turns out that Adam has amnesia, and he doesn't really know who he is and where he came from. And then we're kind of all over the place.
We
with
are,
this.
but that's the thing. That's what I mean.
We
This
have
spoilers. Definitely
no.
spoilers.
I mean, I'm thinking a lot more now. So we have Cronus, and you're like, well, okay, well, Cronus is Trapjaw, right? Yes, but not for most of this show. And he also worked with King Randor and has an apprentice who is Duncan. And I'm just like,
It's
that's
everywhere.
source material? No, I don't think so at all.
Completely different Cronus. I didn't know it was Cronus until I finally heard a name being said. I was like, who is this green-faced fucking weirdo? Who is this guy? I have no clue. And of course, you kind of got the vibe. I was like, I guess, of course, that's going to be Evelyn. You know, always
Evelyn.
Yeah, Evelyn. But then they say Evelyn. But let me dissect one other thing about Cringer that annoyed the living hell out of me. His name is Cringer, but he's not afraid of anything. I was like, okay, guys, again, did you... And let me build up to something first before we get to the part, because I know what you want to say. But I'm like, his name is Cringer. He's not scared of shit. Do you guys understand the naming of this character, why he was named Cringer? Because he's scared of shit. But then you find out later that, here we go again when I lost my shit, The people must be flipping out in their seats to know that we're getting the real names from the Masters of the Universe Classic shitty bios.
Mm.
Beastman, you get to hear Rakaz, not the whole Raku Rakaz or whatever the fuck, or I don't know. It's like Rakaz
And he refers to himself in third person like The
is
Rock.
Rakaz. He calls him. He was like, he named Cringer because he wouldn't fight in his like death games. Well, that was first. Let me explain something. It was a choice of Cringer not to attack and kill his own tribe. Secondly, who would keep a nickname given to them by somebody that tried to make them fight in the games? That's like if I say, "Hey Nathan, you're a shitbag because you won't do this," and eventually you're not around me no more, and you're like, "My name's Shitbag." What do you mean? You would call yourself something else. Why is
Yeah,
Cringer?
yeah. Hello, I'm. You can call me shitbag. Well, why is that? Well,
The guy called
back then I wouldn't. I wouldn't give Joe his ramen noodles, and he called me a shitbag, and it just I liked it, and it stuck.
exactly. So you see what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense
it doesn't
that
make
why
sense.
they
So
did that.
yeah, there's no way he would keep that name. So that whole purpose was moronic. I couldn't stand that. So that was something that annoyed the living hell out of me. It's just the name of Cringer. Not, he shouldn't use it. But then when we get into a lot, like I said, because it is all over the place. No longer
Hmm.
is Tila and Duncan, having that relationship as an adopted daughter and father. They're associates now. They're not.
Yeah, Tila's essentially just sort of like you call her a thief, I guess, like in
Thief, and
Eternia.
I'm assuming she's still going to be the daughter of the sorceress. Sorceress, we're
Maybe. I mean,
I'm,
there
I'm
wasn't really anything implied to that, I guess, other than it was her destiny to take on that role, which is kind of the whole uh, basic storyline of this is the whole destiny aspect. Like Adam is destined to carry the sword, and we even get a scene too, because a lot of this is the relationship between Adam and Keldor. We don't know exactly what happened, but there was a point when Keldor is with Adam and they're in the castle, and Keldor is given the choice to choose power or to choose havoc, not knowing what the names of either are, but he's like, all right, well, a sword pertains to the warrior. I would rather have that, and it turns out that that was the wrong choice. And when he goes to attack the sorceress, that's when Adam's got the sword, and
yeah.
we kind of learn later on that she kind of used her powers to kind of evaporate them both and send them to different places. And I get what doesn't make sense is Keldor maintains all of that memory, and Adam remembers none of it.
Well, I'm almost assuming maybe it's because he was so young that getting hit possibly by that
Could
spell, it
be,
might have just
yeah,
wiped his mind a little. And you're right, Keldor was just put in a state of stasis or something until that power sword was finally activated, the power of Grayskull, which awoke him or
yeah.
something.
So, uh,
So just to let you know, Keldor chose poorly and Adam chose wisely. So he kind of had an
yeah,
Indiana Jones moment, which one to choose.
yeah,
Pick the right one.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you felt the same way about this, and any of you guys out there, leave a comment down below, especially, and just give your thoughts on this if you did watch it. One thing that really stuck out to me, and maybe it was noticeable too in the first 3 episodes, but it seemed like, yeah, they had a little bit of playful dialogue those first 3 episodes, but to me, it played it kind of straight. And then as soon as Adam gets the power and everybody transforms, because we talked about this before, it's almost like a Power Rangers aspect that once he calls to the power, everybody else on his team, like, they get their powers as well. Everybody has the power.
Yeah, we're gonna get to
uh
that later.
that After that, the episodes, the dialogue, that it just got goofier. Like
There,
we have Adam, like, wanting to find a bathroom in Grayskull and wanting to
to
use
take a shit. Yeah.
Crass's helmet, and then you got Crass wanting to throw up when she goes into her little ball and stuff, and she's like testing out her new
There,
abilities.
yeah, I agree.
And
It got silly to
it did.
a lot of the parts in the episodes, and again, this is for kids, but I was like,
Yeah.
is this the kind of humor you want to give kids, though? Is to be because they did a lot of over the top silly stuff, which I'm like, quit insulting the intelligence of young adults. When we were kids, they didn't do that to us. Like, you watched Filmation, that could be watched by kids, preteens, and adults, and you didn't feel like a kid watching it. This, though, you definitely feel like a kid because of the humor. Like, I never thought I'd watch a cartoon and worry about Adam taking a shit somewhere and wanting to shit in her helmet. Like, is this really going
Yeah.
on for 2 to 3 minutes? Is this really happening? Skeletor at one point emerging out of a pool. We didn't see it, but he was naked, and you seen Cronus and
Trapjaw
Evelyn.
saw it.
Yeah, Trapjaw and his jaw like dropped, and Evelyn were supposed to have seen him naked. I'm like, is that something that we should have for kids to see? So there was some
Yep.
adult
Big old bone dick, Joe. Big old bone dick.
Look at that boner. Oh God! But no, it's just
wouldn't they call you Bonator?
yeah, some shit. Yeah, it's just there was parts in it that surprised me. I was like, that's kind of adult like. So it is kiddie like, but obviously then let's go to the aspect of they're still wanting us adults to hopefully like it because they wouldn't have had all these little what they like to say were Easter eggs with names. Like we got to hear Modulok is now considered some type of game they play, and of course the names Tuvar and Badger, the two that are there for the King's Court. We know Tuvar and Badger who they'll be, and there's a Snake Mountain joke where he's talking to Adam through that microphone. He's like, this ancient technology. And I'll admit, it was funny, but I was like, that was for us, a kid watching.
That wasn't funny to me. Like, that played more into that just complete tonal shift, which I didn't understand. Like, the first 3 episodes were mostly all right, and then it just got goofier and goofier, and I'm like, it's for kids, but why that just drastic swoop to, well, everything's got to be funny, because I think when you do that, it does kind of take out the seriousness of what they're trying to tell. Like when they're fighting and then there's like jokes in there, I'm like, well, I thought this was supposed to be like there's high stakes involved and everybody's kind of joking about it, so it makes it not as impactful.
Yeah,
but maybe I'm reading too much into that. It does.
No, it kind of does take you out of the moment. I mean, I will quickly go back to the Snake Mountain microphone because, like I said, that was only something us adults would know. A kid watching wouldn't understand. Like, I don't get it when he said this is ancient technology. What would they? We know what it is because they had that echoing effect. Remember, it's like, oh my God, the echoing of that fucking microphone drives us nuts, and they did it in that cartoon.
But isn't that just kind of like really lazy? Like it was lazy enough to drop the Modulok name, and it's a game that you don't even know what it is. It's like it's lazy. It's not.
It's trying
what
to
adult is like
us.
like
They're hoping we'd like it. Like I said, if this was
me
all
roll
for
my
kids,
eyes.
it did, because if this was just for kids, those jokes would not have been there. They shouldn't have been there. That means they know they're hoping we like it. But let's go. I mean, like I said, we're all over the place, but it's good because it's hitting a lot of different marks. Let's get to this Power of Grayskull thing. I can't stress it enough. Rob David has the biggest fucking hard-on for everybody wanting to share the Power of Grayskull. I am so sick of this. He did it in the goddamn DC comics that, were written just a little bit ago. It's probably going to be seeped into Revelation. I'm sure, maybe not. But now it's here. He finally got his moment to where everybody has the power. Let me explain something. Teela is already badass by herself in this cartoon as who she is. Even Crass, before coming Ram Mam, she's badass doing what she can do. Duncan is already a weapon master, but now everybody has to share the power, which means what makes the whole connection of Prince Adam and He-Man special? Because that's what Adam had going for him. He's the chosen one. He's the destined one to have the power of Grayskull. And there's all this accompanied cast of hundreds of Masters of the Universe characters with unique abilities, powers, and everything, along with evil warriors. So now that they're sharing the power, what makes Adam special? It's like, oh, he's a dork without this, but now he becomes super powered, but everybody else who already had abilities get even more. That's why you don't need to share the power, Rob David. You can have somebody be that one that's special as He-Man, and everybody else is already special. Look at every fucking figure and look at all the comics and cartoons. They're already a special character. Why make them even more special? Does he not see that doesn't make fucking sense?
Yeah, and not to mention, and midway through, I was like, all right, well, if they do this, is Skeletor gonna have the exact same thing? And sure as shit, that's what happens when Skeletor. It works the same way. So Skeletor transforms Evelyn to Evil Lyn, Cronus to Trapjaw, and then
Rakaz to Beastman.
Rakaz to Beastman, and it's like the same thing of like, well, now it doesn't make Skeletor that special either because everybody's superpowered, so everyone is essentially is like on a level playing field, right?
Yeah, and plus, what's even different with that is it kind of really almost demeans the evil warriors even more because
Mm-hmm.
unless they get souped up, it's like, okay, you got that dorky looking Cronus, you got this skinny fucking weird looking Rakaz that looks like a
Yeah,
lunatic from the jungle. Evil Lyn still looks good as who she is and can still use magic, but you're right, unless he decides he wants to power them up, they're not going to be powered up, so they ain't nothing fucking special. It's like that's why this sharing the power bullshit storyline or thing he has in his head, I wish he would get rid of it. Let the special people already, the destined chosen ones, let Adam He-Man be the only one who has that power of Grayskull. Let Skeletor be his only evil ass, and then all the people around
yeah,
them are already badass. It's always worked. It's worked for almost 40 years. Why would you want to change it? And I know they like going in different directions, but when it's a direction that makes no sense, it's something that's like, I don't understand why you'd want to do that. It doesn't make this any better. It makes it more convoluted and confusing. Quit giving all backstories and shit for every single character and thing. Let them be who
yeah.
they are.
Right. Joe, are you trying to say that you didn't like Trapjaw being a vacuum?
Oh god, wait till you guys see this shit if you haven't seen it. And again, you feel like you're playing a video. I'll tell you what, that'd probably make an awesome fucking video game for kids. They were like, all right, here comes Trapjaw's attack. Here comes Lightning
Yeah,
Spectrum.
I mean, it would lend itself well in
It
video
would.
game form, I suppose, but it just, from a storytelling standpoint, it kind of, I guess they think that they're broadening it, but it almost kind of, when you take away what makes each of those characters special, and they're all just sort of lumped in, and it's everybody's fair against each other, it kind of makes it. I don't know. Like
You know what also does?
when characters are unique, you have to like write around that to make what they have work with the story and make it compelling. If everybody's just the same, then it's like, all right, well, he'll just hit him. He'll just hit him.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean.
hey,
It
we're done.
limits. It actually limits the amount of characters that could come in with the show. Like, let's say they ever decide to introduce Webstore. We're gonna see a spider, and boom, now it's a big spider. Hey, look at that one
It,
guy that looks blind. Let's make him Triclops. It's like, is
is
everybody?
that is that gonna be the thing? Is like
Yeah,
everybody has to transform
that's
and
that's what sucks. It's like now you guys
yeah,
have to make it to where everybody has to get transformed to become something special. Mechanic, Cyclone, Extendar, Ram. Well, excuse me, can't have Ram Man because I'm assuming Ram Man was the parent who got killed. Then,
I was
but
actually gonna ask you about that.
that's what
If that's
I'm
the
assuming that. Which
brief thing, it's like, oh well, her parents were killed in a crash, and I'm
yeah,
like,
so I'm
and
assuming
that's all
it.
they say, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah, which I
sure,
guess we'll get to that. What is it with this not wanting to have any parental figures? Because, like I said, Tila and Duncan are not daughter and with the father relationship. Now they're
yeah,
friends, so there's no parental relationship there. Then you look at Crass; she doesn't have any parents. You look at Duncan himself; he doesn't have any. Adam, he knows his father, but eventually, he doesn't kind of want to be with him. Then he does, he doesn't. But
yeah,
it's like they're trying to take this out, and it's showing just the kids, which this, like I said, it's like what also happens to younger people. Like when we were growing up, we looked up to these adults who were heroes, and it made us want to aspire to be somebody better, like a hero, somebody that could stand up for anybody else. I would never look at a kid like when I'm watching fucking Scooby-Doo or the kitty cartoons and say I want to be like this dork. No, it's like I'd like to be like He-Man or
yeah,
Batman or Superman, these people
yeah,
that embodied a hero. Now when you're a kid looking at a kid, you'll never have that moment, like just like when Rebecca was talking last week about how Melindy Britt and what she did to bring Adora and She-Ra to life, and it was somebody that made her want to be a better person and grow up to be like her. Well, you don't have these moments no more of growing up to be like them because they're your age. So I wondered, they got rid of parental figures. They got rid of anybody that could be somebody that you could look up to, everybody's kids. I don't understand this. Like, why would you want to do that to kids? Wouldn't you want to make them have a hero and a role model and not just your buddy? Like when I was 8 years old, I didn't want to look at a hero that was 8 and like I felt like, hey, that's Johnny down the street. I want to be like Johnny. It's like he's my fucking age.
I don't. Maybe it's the Power Ranger aspect of it, you know.
Explain that to me because I never watched Power Rangers.
Well, I mean, in Power Rangers, it's a group of high school age kids that are chosen to wield this power, and they're going to school, and then they're fighting evil and transforming into Power Rangers, and they got Zords and shit. So maybe that was the direction that kids can't. But they didn't do anything in it really that would, because it doesn't work in this sort of realm of fantasy of having like a
You want to
kid
be a
can't relate
ball
to it.
that rolls to people? Like, I want to grow up to be that ball that
Yeah.
rolls.
Yeah, I mean, with Power Rangers, at least it had those moments of them in school or having to deal with real life situations in school and with their friends, and
Yeah.
maybe
This is missing the boat on that. I mean, hell, even He-Man. What annoys me about He-Man, his voice don't change. He sounds like a kid still.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, where's the man?
Well,
Can't have the man.
there is one part I think where he deepened his voice when he was trying to disguise himself when Randor was around, right?
Did he?
Maybe not.
Maybe it just went right over my head.
They used it as a gag. I do remember
Oh,
that
did
when
they?
he had a deeper voice. But you're absolutely right. Like, uh, where's the man in He-Man?
There is no.
He's still just that teenage boy. It just in a bigger fit. So yeah,
And do you see why? That's what I mean. That's why I can't picture. And there's people that said they loved it again, and adults who said they really liked it. If they liked it, great. But my question is, would they ever want to have a desire to really go back and watch this again? Like, I'm just saying, I can go back and watch the Mike Young Productions cartoon, Filmation, and think, that's still damn good. I like that singular episode that had its whole story, but this, I don't have a desire to want to go back and watch it. It's like, it was what it was, but it's for kids, but it's not for me.
I mean, I'm kind of that way about a lot of stuff that comes out these days. There's a lot of things that I don't go back and revisit. There's some stuff, sure, but a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, like I'll watch them once, but okay, one and done. But you're right on that point too. I don't see, unless the only people I see go back and rewatching this is if they had kids and their kids actually dug it.
I guess that's my point. Is as an adult, since this is a kid's cartoon, I can't see them wanting to watch that again. Or like how 30 years later we're still watching Filmation, and almost 20 years later we're still watching MYP. In 20 years, do you think they're going to say, you know what, I want to watch that episode of He-Man and the... It's like, I don't see that happening.
I don't know. I think that's apples and oranges, because I think the way that kids are brought up today compared to how we were brought up is just a completely different dynamic.
Well, I meant even adults. I meant the adults themselves. Like, I can't picture them even wanting to rewatch it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like a big gap here. Like, kids, we've already established kids don't really play with toys anymore. Whereas, like, look behind us, like. And people our age.
Yeah.
We are the ones that are going back and collecting our childhood because, happy memories or whatever. Like, it is kind of strange that we are this generation because we were raised on Saturday morning cartoons and all these toys and that boom in the 80s, that here we are all these years later.
Who would have thought it'd be cool and acceptable to collect toys as an adult? Because remember when we were 15 years old, you were supposed to be done with them. And if you were playing with toys, boy, did you get shit, man. People would get all over you. You're playing with toys, even video games. I remember when I was playing with games. You're a dork that plays video games?
I never got that.
I did. And now everybody, from kids to adults, even older than us, everybody plays. It's like if you don't play a game, you're a dork now. It's like, well, I guess I'm a dork because I haven't played in a long time. That means I used to be one of the best in the world, but I won't do that on this podcast.
It's just the whole thing. We're going to talk about the Spider-Man jacket and how you got gypped out of the Donkey Kong
Country and Sonic Adventure, and then I could talk about Crazy Taxi and Thunder Force 5 Brainstorm.
Nobody cares, Joe. Nobody cares. But yeah, I don't see kids. I mean, there may be some that will come back to it. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people are even know about this at all. Like,
when it premiered, I didn't know. I think what was it? I think it was Grimbot that sent me a message. He was like, "Yo, did you watch this?" I was like, "I didn't even know it was fucking on. I didn't even know that it premiered. It was out of nowhere."
Well, with Revelation, we had the mouthpiece of Kevin Smith out there, like, "Hey, blah blah blah," to get the attention to it. Dare I say, granted, I fell off towards the end of this thing, but the first 3 episodes, even with the changes that they made, I'm like, you know what? Let's see where it goes. I'll give it a fair shot. And I found myself in that time period. I'm like, you know what? It's not I had a better time watching that, I think, than Revelation, and I think part of that is just all the shit going into it with what Kevin Smith said and like how
Sure.
the fans were reacting to everything. With this, it just came out. It's like, "Mel,
Yeah.
here you go,"
And
and
it is what it is. It's like you're
it
right.
is
You
what it
watched it.
is.
Yeah, I sat there and like I said, I watched it, and yes, I could say, yeah, I could watch it and stomach it and not be
It
as
wasn't boring.
yeah, it wasn't boring. Like I said, to have that much action in every episode, I was like, they did what they wanted to do. They got it done, and kids would look at that if they're into that stuff and say, you know what,
Yeah,
I'm not bored looking at that. That's a lot of stuff going on. So I applaud them for that. They actually did that. It seemed like they would keep your attention. It's not like you were distracted, like I don't want to watch the rest of this fucking episode. It's like, no, I'll watch this. So it
yeah,
worked. And like I will say one thing about Orko because I've been avoiding that the whole time, but I'll get to it.
yeah.
I'm still going to buy the figure. I told you I have an Orko obsession, and he's
Are they
still
coming out with that though? Is that gonna come
yeah,
out?
yeah. I think they
Okay.
showed that at PowerCon. They did show that
Did
he was
they?
going to be he was going to
All
be in the
right.
second wave. I think. Now I'm not collecting any of the other figures because they just don't appeal to me. But
Mm-hmm.
Orko himself, it's like it's supposed to be like a memory bank of Orko. So when they put that in, when Duncan put that into like one of their other robot drones,
It
it
was it was one of was it Randor's drone robots?
I think so. It was one of those, and he put it in there. And of course, Orko then found through the the Palace of Eternia some stuff to make his own outfit. He just appeared and was like that. I was like, you know what? Kind of looks like him. He thinks he's Orko because it's Orko's memory bank. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking problem with Orko. I was like, it actually kind of worked for what it was, and you felt bad, like, oh, this poor fucker just realized that he's not the real Orko. He cannot do real magic. He's doing stuff with, electronics and powers to look like that, but he's not really Orko, but he thinks he is. I appreciate that character being in there because, well, he's trying to be Orko, and he kind of
Hmm.
resembled him. I'll get the figure, but I didn't have an issue with Orko at all. I did not.
I think overall he was the best character, or I guess maybe the best written character. He still had his bits of goofy dialogue, but it worked in his regard. They played I don't know.
I think it's because they were trying to,
Uh,
well, since it's supposed to be the memory bank of an Orko, they maybe tried to play him as close to the character as we remembered him. At least they tried, and I was like,
yeah.
I won't fault them for that. That was fine, and if young kids could get into an Orko character, maybe, but there wasn't too much of them. You just got a little bit of Orko in there, but
Which was good. He had an episode basically dedicated to him becoming Orko, but after the fact, he's just kind of there in pieces. I think if he would have been there more, it would have been grating
yeah, he had like
for
a good
sure.
moment, I think, towards the end when, doing that one thing to make it look like a spell, like they all disappeared, but the member got him
Hmm.
like into an alley. So he had
Yeah,
his moments, and they try to do an homage to like some stuff with Colossor. Of course, this is a weird looking Colossor, but
yeah.
they
It's
tried.
just a bunch of guards
Yeah.
fused together.
So
Yeah,
this,
yeah. I don't know. I'm sure some people are gonna bring out the torches and be like, "You weren't mean enough about it," and it's like
you know what I think
it.
though? I think some people might actually think that we were too mean. That's what's weird. No matter what we say, it's either you
Right.
weren't mean enough or you were too mean. But we're given an honest. The thing is, we're not just here to say it completely fucking sucked. Don't watch it, or this is the best goddamn cartoon in the world. Watch
Hmm.
it and love it because you know what? We're gonna get more toys because of this.
No,
We're not
that
doing it.
plastic crack.
Yeah, the play. Yeah,
I
that's
got. I
right.
need more toys.
That's right. But so we gave an objective breakdown of everything. Things that, we liked, didn't like,
Hmm.
what could work for the kids, what really shouldn't work at all. But
Yeah.
I like I said, I don't think anybody else would dissect it like we did. You're going to get other people
Is
that will be on a hype train of
is
hate
there
or
any
love.
is there anything that we missed that would be important to kind of address? We covered the Final Fantasy
Cover the Final Fantasy. We covered the
Final Fantasy
see, and
attacks.
we covered the stupid thing about everybody sharing the power of Grayskull, which is
Yeah.
bullshit. They need to stop
Yeah.
that. Rob David, please stop. Please stop. This is the thing. It's like for somebody that is so obsessed on having everybody share the power of Grayskull, Rob, how about you start sharing your power with other people that are fans or writers that maybe want to do something kind of cool? Because it seems like he's keeping the power. It's like, well, isn't it interesting? You want to have everybody share the power in He-Man, but you want to keep it all to yourself. It's like, I'm tired of sharing the power. See, that's going to piss people off, but they know it's true. Stop it, Rob. Fucking get other people in. Please, Rob, get other Masters of the Universe fans and have a good back and forth and work together. Right? Work together. Everybody have the power.
No, it'll
Right?
never happen.
Isn't
No.
that supposed to be it, Rob? Everybody
No.
share the power? I don't know. I don't know.
And,
Guess I'm wrong. I'm a dick. Hi, I'm Dickhead
No.
Joe Amato, and I'm here with no.
yeah, I'm shitbag.
You're shitbagging. Keep that name
I'm
because
shitbag.
that's
No.
what everybody does. When you get picked on or
No.
you're called the name when you're a kid, that becomes your permanent name. God forbid you want to fucking change it. God, what a dumb decision, cringer. Oh Jesus Christ, how fucking dumb. Back.
Is there any indication of when season 2 is coming out?
Oh,
Has anyone said yet?
why do I think
Is it gonna be
No,
soon?
actually, no. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Revelation in January. This, I don't fucking know. Maybe somebody in the chat, or because we'll have a live chat later. Of course, we're talking to them, or in the comments they can leave it. But I actually don't know when the other episode.
Well, do you think? Do you think people will look forward to season 2 after this?
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. Here's the next part. It ends where she says, where they figured the only way to get out of there was by taking Castle Grayskull and just moving it, because there was no way Skeletor would stop coming, because now Skeletor isn't obsessed on the power of Grayskull no more. He just loves his havoc, and he wanted to have the throne and to take over, as he at the end is sitting in the throne of the Palace of Eternity, I believe. So it's like that also is gone. There's no more pursuance of the power of Grayskull. It's like it's irrelevant there. They still want to go ahead and go there to probably destroy some shit, but so. Yeah. The sorceress, which, God, what did they call her? The enchantress. Oh, I can't even remember her name. They called her Eldris. I think Eldris.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
She decides to move the entire castle. She said, now a new adventure awaits. Now, do you remember, I think how the original thing for the New Adventures of He-Man, it was going to be like Castle Grayskull was transformed, or the Starship Eternity was in there, and then it blasts off. That was like one of the stories, not the thing that we seen in the cartoon, but so does that mean, are we going to get some New Adventures shit? Which, here's what's weird. People get pissed if we don't like all this, but I always bring up New Adventures of He-Man. Almost everybody fucking hated that cartoon, but it's okay to hate that cartoon, right? Well, if they're going to bring any New Adventures of He-Man elements, prepare for everybody that likes this fucking cartoon to then hate it, because almost nobody liked New Adventures of He-Man. So I don't know what direction they'll go, but I don't see people actually being super excited. I haven't heard a hype of it. This is the difference. Is like you said, there was a big hype for Revelation, and everybody knew that cartoon was coming out, and they watched it, and either you had the people that absolutely loved or absolutely hated, but we know there's another season coming. People want to see how is this going to end. Yeah. This, just like we said, came out of nowhere. I didn't even know it premiered. You didn't. Most everybody didn't.
I knew it was coming out.
I didn't know you knew it premiered the day it premiered. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't. So it shows somebody who loves Masters of the Universe. I didn't even know this fucking thing just premiered that day. But what I'm getting to is I don't see the big hype for it. If the kids embrace it, there might be more of some noise. But I honestly, I'm not being a dick. All these CGI cartoons have been coming out as of late, from King Kong to Tarzan or whatever that Grimbot was showing me. They've all failed, and if they go to it, great. But adults haven't been doing backflips over the moon for this, because remember, it is not for them. It's all for the kids this time. So if the kids embrace it, then I guess cool. We'll see if they buy the toys, but as you know, kids don't buy any toys no more. It's the adults buying toys, so not many adults have been hyped on this. They've been wanting Origins, and they've been wanting the Mondo shit. Nobody.
And it makes no sense too that these toys aren't even going to be in stores for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, you figured that would have been ready for the cartoon. That would have been.
You think that would have been on the shelf by now?
Yeah, because, like you said, kids, if they're binge watching, once they binge it and they're done, they won't even think about it. But if these could have been out during this, picture a kid who would have watched this a few days ago and then went to Target and seen those toys. They'd be like, hey, have we just seen that? Give me them. Give me them.
I want to say that these are going to be Walmart exclusive for now.
Are they? What's all these fucking exclusives everywhere?
I don't know. It's bad enough that they can't keep the shelves stocked to begin with, but the fact that we're getting all the exclusive shit between the stores, it's really getting old. Like, just put, but like online retailers, please, like Big Bad Entertainment Earth, start putting more of your shit on there.
Yeah.
People, I don't know. Maybe
These
people
toys, this
enjoy
is
the
gonna,
hunt.
yeah, this will be a strange sell. This is gonna be the hardest to sell out of all of them because if the kids ain't buying, not many adults are. Like I told you, I'll buy Orko, but I'm not buying any other figure. I have no desire for any of the figures based off of this cartoon except Orko. So we'll,
I joked with you that I'm gonna buy that 8.5 inch He-Man to have it as a gag on the show.
that's how big it is.
8.5, yeah.
Jesus, really? God.
So yeah, so that was like those giant size ones. So I think the other ones are gonna be
Oh,
way
I didn't even know there was. Oh, there's
probably
two separates. I didn't know there was a
yeah,
giant size. Oh
yeah,
dear God.
yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up the other day. So like the He-Man and the Skeletor and what is it? The Battle.
Cycles. Or...
Are they calling it Battle Armor?
Oh,
They
battle.
may call it Battle Armor.
I actually don't. I have no clue.
Those are gonna be 8.5. I'm assuming that the other ones will probably be 5.5,
5 to
maybe.
6. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
make sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
But
So
well, like I said, this was pretty much. It's just going to be an efficient, a quick episode. But I think we did shoot everything we had to. So I'm sure, like you
I
said, we're going to
guess
ruffle feathers either
I'm
way.
sure there's something we missed. Someone's gonna let us know. Hey, you didn't talk about this. Why
Oh, I'm
didn't you
sure it'll
talk
happen.
about that?
Uh,
If you had to, I was gonna say a star rating, but let's say like a grade. If you had to give it a grade, A through F, what would you give this?
well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give 2 grades for kids, for fun, for them enjoying stuff. I could give it a B for kids. I really could give it a B for kids. But no, for He-Man fans who are wanting to follow lore and stuff, that's pretty much a D minus. I won't give it an F just because of Orko. Orko, I was like, I still fucking liked Orko. I don't care. But for adults, no, this doesn't follow any He-Man lore. This does not follow
No,
any source material, as people like to say. D minus for He-Man fans and B for the kids.
I'm gonna combine the grades with adults and kids and give it a proper C minus.
Okay.
I think if you put a kid in front of the TV and put this on, I think they would be entertained
Yep.
and
Keep
enjoy
their
it.
attention.
Like you said, if you guys are wanting everything to remain the same, and remember that it's basically these guys are there in name only, and that's almost
Yeah.
it.
Name only. Name only. Yeah.
I stand by. This shouldn't have been a Masters of the Universe cartoon. It should have been change all the names, keep the same idea that they had in the show, call it something else. It should have just been a new IP, and I think people would have
Yep.
wouldn't have cared.
They want to care. Just like
May-
with Netflix She-Ra, we said the same thing. They could have called that Glamoria and the Sword of Destiny, and that could have been for just some different
Mhm.
people. But when you call it She-Ra and it's only She-Ra name alone, it don't feel, it doesn't have the heart and love. And the same thing with this. Oh, there was one comment that pissed me off, though. I think it was Eldris. She said something to Orko. She said, "You have something that your namesake never had." And I think she said heart. Heart.
Yeah.
I was like, what the
Man.
fuck? So that pissed me off when she said, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Orko had all the heart. Are you kidding? I was like, was that supposed to be a gag thing or to piss people off like me?
Yeah, probably.
That
A little jab.
See?
Filmation is old and stupid.
See, so I did remember something. Yeah. Oh, did that piss me off? You have some your namesake didn't, and that's hard. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Maybe
They
it was
should have been something completely new. But if you had to, and I guess it's not fair to do this, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. If you had to rank from worst to best, Netflix, She-Ra, this, and Revelation, how would you rank them?
From worst to best.
Worst to mediocre.
Okay,
'Cause
worst.
There is no
She-Ra.
best here.
Worst Netflix She-Ra. Then Revelation. Then this, because this
Yeah.
one I will give a pass for.
Yeah, I mean, how weird is that though?
Yeah.
That we would rank that above Revelation. I think it's just because I wasn't bored, and even though I rolled my eyes quite a bit while watching this, I don't know, the tone of it and how it went just made it easier to digest. With
Yeah.
Revelation,
I agree.
you felt what was going on in that show. It was just miserable the whole fucking time. So.
Yep. You know what I'm going to get now is when this does premiere, or when we have this premiere, I'm sure I'm going to get messages from fucking Grimbot, our buddy Grimbot. Joe, you were too nice.
You weren't mean enough.
Yeah.
I mean, what point? Like, why?
We're not doing this to
Why
be mean.
be-
We're here to be honest. That's what we do.
Yeah,
We give an
we're
honest
just
opinion.
here to be honest, tell you things that we thought were passable and things that we just didn't really enjoy. And
Yep.
I don't know, when it's something of this magnitude, because it is, we can't stress enough, this was the thing that was targeted towards kids. That's what they wanted to
Yes.
do. Revelation is the adult show and this
Mhm.
is the kid show.
Yep.
I mean, why be angry about this? Like, it
Yep.
changed a lot of shit, but whatever. Like,
Yep.
I don't see any of that sticking and being canon, and I'm sure Grimm will take that clip right there when things do become canon and be like, "You motherfucker, you willed it into existence." But no,
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, there's just for me with this, there was no point in just being angry about it because
Right.
after Revelation, this was a cakewalk.
There you go. So that was our, like I said, that was our quick review of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So I think that pretty much is it. Like I said, this episode will be in a different order from the other. We're recording this before what we're going to be doing. Well, I don't need to say that because people will be seeing it on Sunday.
Right.
So, well, let me say to anybody that is new to this channel, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. And until next time, have a powerful day.
I got no wrestling trivia. I did it again.
What a way to end it, Nathan. All right, fine. Now I got to get out of here. I got to go to the store. I got to get some water. How about that for ending the show?
Get
Joe's
some
got to go.
water.
Yeah, I got to get some water because
What kind of water? What kind of water do you drink? Is it just the generic
Kroger
brand?
Yeah, Kroger water.
Kroger brand's good.
Yeah, it is. It's good, especially like I said when the water around here was having its issues as of late. So I'm going to get some water. So see you guys next time.